how I feel about DMX to me personally and the culture, I'll go personally first. Personally, DMX, to me, he was one of the artists that I stepped off the porch listening to. Meaning that golden era, me being in 6th, 7th grade, you know, seeing this guy in rare form, listening to him. He was very open. He was one of the most down-to-earth artists in hip-hop history, if you let me tell it. So personally, I looked at him and I studied him and, all the golden era artists that I still listen to today: DMX, Jay-Z, Nas, Wu, Scarface. He's one that I studied, and he's, out of that bunch, I would say he has to be one of the most out front artists ever. You know what I mean? Meaning his whole life was in front of you and he gave it to you. So I took a page out of his book in certain ways. He was one of the first artists. As far as the culture, DMX was, he was a staple in the hip hop culture. He was one of the first hip hop artists to really flood, and that's something we do. Like, I just took a page out of his book and dropped 2 projects within a year, within 6 months. He dropped 2 projects in 1 year and they both went platinum. That was monumental for hip hop back then. You know what I mean? When people were doing the old formats, dropping 1 project a year and tour the album and work it. But he did it twice, and that was huge for him, and that was huge for hip hop. And it's still, that format goes on to this day. So rest in peace, DMX. He will always be missed, loved. His name will live on, his prayer and everything will live on. I pray for his family, and everybody has my condolences. The pandemic impacted me in several ways, It impacted me to the point to where as though I had to find out how to get this creative space in my home, something I never done throughout my musical career. I figured out how to get this creative space in my home. I figured out how to write in my home. And I also figured out how to record myself. It made me tap into another, energy within my musical spirits. It made me tap into that, so the pandemic was a gift and a curse for me. There was a lot of people out there, searching for other things. But me personally, the pandemic helped me find more creativity within myself. It made me sit down and find out what I really want to do, and made me tap into my, 5-year plans and 10-year plans and long-term, short-term goals even more. Really, it made me hit the reset button like it did for everybody else. I would think so, but it helped me be more creative. And I'm now recording myself in the house now. So that means we're going to have more 24/7 HH interviews, because I'm going to drop more projects as we go. You feel me? So this is the first of a million, second of a million. What I think needs to change within the police and the relationship we have with the police in our community, I would like to start the answer off by saying, all police ain't bad. You know what I mean? All police ain't bad. All police, they are crooked. I think it just needs to be more one-on-one, not one-on-one, but them linking with us and figuring out how we can grow together. It's a tall order. My dad was locked up for something he didn't do by a jealous police officer back when I was a kid. So that took him away from me for the time he went away for. You know what I mean? So I grew up having a certain thing towards police officers. But now as I get older, I understand that some police officers rely on that job to pay their bills and pay their kids' tuitions and things in that nature. All police officers aren't bad, but I think it just needs to be, within the inner workings of the city and the people who makes, the infrastructure as far as the laws and things they do. I think they need to tap into the neighborhoods more. Tap into the communities even more. Don't just make the laws and stamp it. Tap into the communities even more. You know, walk through the neighborhoods and not just do that to get voted in, you know, or to get that superintendent job. Walk on the corners and walk on the neighborhoods and talk to the people that's out there. You know what I mean? Talk to the guys that's out there that need that you know, step into their world, to our world, and see what we need to do. And maybe when you do that, you'll understand more. It's like going abroad. You feel me? If the police officers do that and the superintendents do that, then you'll understand, and maybe, you know, we can possibly come together and make stuff better. Like I said, though, it's a tall order. But you know, you send somebody overseas to learn, they're gonna adapt to that culture. You see what I'm saying? If you send a student to study abroad, they're gonna adapt to that culture. So if you send the superintendents and everybody, the mayor and all certain politicians, and you let them live in our shoes for a minute, maybe they may understand and they may go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's change this, let's rearrange this, and let's go this direction with this. And hopefully, you know, we can have a better system, quote unquote. But like I said, man, that's a tall order, but that's just what I think needs to be done. You know, you need to be around it to know it better, not on the other side, you know. But to the bad officers, hey man, I don't know. I just had an experience the other night where I had on shout out to my people at Leaders. I was in the car, you know, and I didn't have, due to the pandemic, I didn't have my window sticker and my plate sticker expired. So they pulled me over. I had on the Leaders $1 billion Band-Aid hoodie. For those that don't know, Google it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And basically the message was defund the police. They pulled me over, put the bright lights in the car, and let me go. They just told me to go get my stickers in. I could have been out of there, you know what I mean? They could have locked me up, they could have, you know. But by the grace of God, those were a set of cops that wasn't my color, that had, they were pretty cool. You see what I'm saying? When they could have wrote me tickets out the ass and, you know, locked me up, because it was a drink in the car. I will say that. You know what I mean? So that was a lesson to me. I got home, I thought about it, and I learned my lesson. You know, it could have been much worse.